blessing today as we celebrate the anniversary of the public proclamation of the church at Pentecost, second chapter of the Acts of the Apostles. It was a Sunday morning, about 9 o'clock in the morning, in the what you call the, it was actually a farmer's market. There are 2 floors, and the ancient Greeks call it the agora. It's a marketplace. There on the second floor, overlooking the entire square, locked with locked doors, were the apostles and the Blessed Mother. They were praying, they are hiding, because the Sanhedrin were eyeing on them all the time, so with locked doors. And then as they prayed, there was commotion. There was a strong wind. There was something it was rattling. With that, there was the whole place was shaking, and something in the roof above, fire descended on each one of them, and it was something really beyond description. And then when after the fire died out and the shaking stopped, about 9 o'clock in the morning, St. Peter opened for the first time. He opened the window overlooking the square from the second floor. And there's so many people there. It was market day, and they thought these guys were drunk. They thought they had a party last night, and drunk because they were talking. They were very brave, very loud, and in spite of the fact that many of these people were coming from different places, they could understand them. And St. Peter, the Apostles' Creed, those very few lines, that's what St. Peter said. And he mentioned about Jesus. The focus was Jesus. And we are proclaiming as witnesses our encounter with this man. That is the way to evangelize. There was no folder, there was no seminar. Like what we do now when we start something, we gather, we announce registration, okay? Then we go to the sources, the textbooks, and we copy those textbooks. And then by chapter 1, 2, 3, speakers, speakers. A lot of big mouth. And after 3-4 days, of intensive lecture, nothing happened. You go back home, and the same thing. No effect. This one, few lines. Jesus, you proclaim Jesus. And then, I have seen the Lord. I'm proclaiming my encounter with the Lord. Like the Samaritan woman in the well who talked to Jesus and then set out and I have seen the Messiah. She was no longer hiding. Proclaimed, converted the whole town. This one, 3,000 people. Few lines of St. Peter and the Apostles' Creed. So, obviously here, something to learn about evangelization. We will see this. We will go to the gifts of the Holy Spirit. There's 7 of them. A few lines on the gifts of the Holy Spirit that we receive at baptism, and then reinforced in confirmation by the oil and blessing of the bishop. And that all of us have this, but it's good to revisit these gifts, because these gifts not only restored creation from sin by the death of Jesus, it reinforced creation. It changed history. It changed human civilization and made creation beautiful. These gifts, we receive this. We will explain these 7 very briefly and see how they work in us, continuously renewing the earth, continuously making the earth beautiful. And then we will go to our parish and see how these gifts are working. You know, you will have a first view of how the face of our premises will be changed in the coming days. These are all part of the gifts of the Holy Spirit working in each one of us. So what's the first one? The first one is knowledge. Now, ordinarily, we have the faculty of knowledge when we have an image or we possess a picture of something. We draw things to us. Ordinarily, our senses are capable of this, you know. The eyes can see things and draw color. You know, we can, the touch can draw temperature. We can learn our surroundings from the senses. We can connect with reality senses. Then our minds, which is the faculty of the soul, we can know things. Like we read a book, the content, we can transfer it here. We can possess the thing, dematerialize it, and possess the knowledge. So, knowledge, ordinarily, we acquire through senses, the brain, the mind, and school. We go to school, we learn, you know, from the lecture, knowledge. But the gifts of the Holy Spirit is higher than normal, ordinary knowledge. It is infused knowledge. It is knowledge, truth that did not come from effort, did not come from study. It is infused directly to the brain, to the mind, by the Spirit. Good example is Albert Einstein, the greatest genius in the world. He was kicked out of the university and college because the teacher told him, there is no future for you here. You are not listening to the lecture. You are staring at the window. You can make good money by being like a bricklayer or a welder or roofer, but not in this university. He was kicked out. His knowledge is not from books. The theory of relativity came from intuition. It's direct, you know, knowledge. He himself could not believe it, but he can know things directly without effort. It's like the same with Tesla. Tesla on electricity, thermodynamics. His knowledge was coming from somewhere, not from books. This is what Jesus told the apostles. This is what he told them. He said, when you are dragged to the courts and you are told to speak, don't worry about it. You go there, face the people, and there you will be given what to say. That is infused knowledge. That is the gift of the Holy Spirit. They can understand other languages. They can speak languages, infused. Second is wisdom. Wisdom is knowing the bigger picture. If you're in the first floor, you only see the around, but you're in the 10th floor, you see bigger. Seeing something from the higher vantage. That's wisdom. The third follows that, understanding. The third gift is understanding. Understanding is wisdom plus heart. It's always beautiful to hear when you make a mistake, somebody tells you, That's okay, I understand. That's so beautiful to hear. It's knowledge plus compassion. Like the 3-year-old boy who went to a candy store, and the old man in the counter asked him, "What do you like?" He said, "That one." And then, "How would you pay it?" He opened his palms, full of beans. Beans. And he asked, "How many of this do you need?" The old man said, "About 5. And then he got his candy. How can you refuse a candy to a 3-year-old full of beans? That's understanding. And he told them, "These beans only will work today. Tomorrow you have to bring money." You know? But he got his candy. That's understanding. Knowledge plus compassion. And the gift of understanding is a gift of the Holy Spirit. Then counsel, which is the ability to guide people, to discern. Then we have piety, time and place for someone you love, which is the essence of worship. That's the gift of the Holy Spirit. You are here, you are brought by the Spirit here to worship. Then fortitude in difficult times, like the martyrs, you brave, perseverance, that is fortitude. And then fear of the Lord. That's not a negative fear, but like you don't like to hurt someone you love. Like God, you don't want to commit sin because you will hurt God. That's fear of the Lord. Or I don't want to do something that will hurt my parents. That's fear. You fear to do something wrong to hurt a loved one. That's a filial fear, not negative. These gifts we receive through baptism and confirmation. And how is this going on in our parish? That's the announcement. Construction